So this is I don't know, this is our reaction and our feelings towards what we've seen on Ruby's political corner recently. And let me just say this as a disclaimer. If I had known that Ruby felt this way about these topics, I don't know if I would ever have wanted to be her friend, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I don't agree with any of this stuff. And I think what she is promoting is super extreme. And I think it's handmade tale. And I feel like she doesn't know what she's talking about. And she's pushing something that if it actually happened, she would regret completely what she's talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
Oh,
she
yeah.
realizes the
It's
magnitude.
dangerous. Dangerous
Yeah.
ideology is what I would classify it under.
Right. It is. So the first clip we're going to play was from, I think, the last, not this Tuesday, but the previous Tuesday. So this is a week ago. And this is if you're looking for this, if you want to know exactly where this is on her show, it's right after the intermission. So at the 2-hour, 6-minute part of her
Yeah.
political corner. I wish I had the date. Do I have the date here so then people can actually look up? I know I usually write down things. I guess we could write it in the description. I'll write it in the
Yeah,
description.
we could link it. We could link it too.
We'll link it in the description, even though I'm not
Yeah.
trying to promote her, but hey, I'm just saying.
Mm.
Okay, so here's the first video. And I just, without even saying anything, I think we're going to let Ruby speak for herself. This is what we're doing. We're going to let Ruby speak for herself, and then we're going to discuss it afterwards. So here it is. Hold on.
A while back, I talked about segregation. We talked a little bit about the pros and cons of segregation, and I came out with the position of maybe it wasn't such a bad thing. Maybe if we all had our own communities and we've like really worked at that, and I could take it a step further. Maybe if we only married within our own races and our own communities, that
the fact that she's laughing,
it's like I can hear him laughing because I know that this is gonna it might be offensive, but we're gonna talk a little bit about those pros and cons, just a little bit. I know Jimmy said it before. He doesn't necessarily he said melting pot, that America was a melting pot. And I'm kind of done with that rhetoric that the textbooks tell us that America is such a melting pot. But I get it.
Wait, rhetoric? Okay, look around. We do have all kinds of cultures and people here. It's not rhetoric. What is she talking about?
It's not something written in a book. It's not something written in a book.
You have multicultural people all throughout America. America was founded on immigrants, people coming from other places. You know, it's like, it's not rhetoric. It's actual facts.
I understand it. My thing was, one of my points was how the Black community has been demolished. You know, I feel bad for the Black community, and how the white community has been made to kind of have that white guilt, they call it, like they have to feel sorry for what they did during slavery or whatever.
I agree with that. I do believe what she just said. I agree with that. I believe that the whole white fragility thing is a way to make white people have all of this guilt, and it also creates division between different races. And I also do believe
it's something. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I also believe they have tried to demolish Black communities. That is not, like, when people say America is racist, I don't think America on a whole is racist, but I do think there are racist people running America and like in higher authority places. And there are situations they created, like red line areas, where they made it so certain populations of races were forced to live in these situations. I do believe that that is existing, and I do believe they tried to take the fathers out of their homes and created a situation where the sons and daughters of the Black community don't have the proper support system that they deserve, with having a mom and a father in the home. I do agree with that. I mean, Candace Owens did a whole thing on that where she talks about how even with like when you go to get Section 8 or you go to get like welfare, It's almost like they're promoting, they want you not to have a father. They're more willing to give you money and help you out if the father isn't there. Like that's how the programs are set up. So I do see that so I agree with that one part that Ruby's saying.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where it ends.
That's where it ends.
Okay.
Meanwhile, most of those slave ships were Jewish, but let's not get into that. Back to that's a whole nother
You're not
story.
wrong.
So that was my position.
I left that in there, but I don't really want to comment on it because it's a touchy subject for people. And I think I skipped out the video she played. So I think this is maybe after she played the video of.
Oh, okay, because that video was propaganda.
Right. So I want people to go look at it themselves at the 2-hour 6-minute mark if they want to watch that video. I just wanted to comment on Ruby's responses to it, and the video is just pretty much a Black woman who aren't they in the subway or something, and she's being interviewed or talking to a white guy. I think he was white. He looked white. And they're pretty much
categorizing people.
Where
what group do you belong to?
Right.
And Ruby's whole point in showing the video was that this is not her idea. She found this on the internet apparently, and she just agrees with it.
Correct.
Which is why do you think it's on the internet? You call yourself awake. Why do you think they put that out there?
Yes, it's just to continue the division, and just because they have a black woman out there saying, "Oh yeah, segregate us." I don't. It's like that doesn't mean you should do it.
Right. Exactly.
Like, no, it's ridiculous.
Right from the very beginning, I was thinking, well, what if the Spanish community, the Hispanic community, was its own community where we lived in communities where only Spanish people lived. The Black community had theirs, the whites, everybody else had their own community. And then I was thinking, how do people feel about this? I know that if I say that, I'm gonna get canceled, right?
That won't work. That's not gonna work.
Thank you, Gail.
Okay, yes. So Gail says that's not gonna work. And I gotta tell you, I didn't come up with this idea on my own. So let me just put that out there right now.
This is where she was going to play the video.
On my own. I have talked to many people on the internet who have already.
How do you handle interracial marriages? I have a couple interracial marriages in my family. How are you going to separate them?
Well, my original thing was the segregation, but the marriage part, I took it a step further by mentioning that, which I already know that's impossible. But in my mind, I'm like, how was it back in the day?
Yeah, she's speculating. She's not. Yeah,
I'm exploring ideas here.
Jimmy, stop making excuses for her. This is absolute ridiculousness. There would be no way to do this because there's already too much interracial marriage is already we're way past that. It's already and we have children of interracial marriage. So what are you going to do with the children? This is so ridiculous. Are we going to have pure bloods versus not pure bloods? Like, what is this?
That was my point. Does Ruby know for sure that she's a purebred, like a pure-blooded, whatever she is? Like if she's
Puerto Rican or whatever.
Puerto Rican. Mm-hmm. So does she know for sure she's been tested that she's only has Puerto Rican blood? I mean, and that's what you would have to do is literally test everyone.
Because we all are a mix.
Outrageous.
I don't know anyone that is just pure. That's rare to me. Like they're just pure something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So it would be impossible to do that. Absolutely crazy. Okay, here we go. So I think they just watched the video and then we come in after that. Okay.
Okay.
Just talking about.
I love the prejudice. I love the prejudice.
Yes, Jesse, you're missing the point that because. And I know you know it. I thought you were going to go there. The smartest minds in the world have already talked about this. The problem is not that video, Ruby. She's right, because there's two issues here. You have to understand. All men are created equal. So a government cannot have rules that will treat one human being different than another. However, there is a thing called property rights. And if you own a restaurant, you have every right as a property owner to say, I don't want Mexicans, blacks, or whites, or whoever, because Either we are free to exercise rights in our own kingdom, in our own property, or guess what? We are not kings in our own property. So the difference is, and this is why a lot of that racism existed, is because the government
It's trying to fix it.
Yeah, correct. You can't.
You can't fix the heart.
Well,
He was on a roll there. He makes no freaking sense.
Exactly.
He's basically saying, oh, but you can have but property rights will handle that. Like if we change property rights to say, oh, well, I don't want you on my property because you're black or whatever.
Right. Well, not only
that's
that,
okay.
Not only that, but Jesse was saying he has no issue with prejudice, and that's then when Gigi came and started talking about property, and it's like, wait, all of that sounds horrible. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why?
Yeah, I know.
Why don't you have issue with prejudice? Or to me, prejudice is just a fancy, nicer way to say racist or racism.
Yeah, and I don't what did he mean by that? Did he mean he personally is not prejudiced? Is that what he's saying? Or is he saying he has no problem with prejudice? I don't get it.
Yeah, he's saying he has no problem with it. Like, it's not an issue.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And notice his name too, Juan F. Kennedy. Why does he do that silly stuff? Oh my God.
I don't know.
People own it. Muslims own, because we love all mankind.
But you're not answering Ruby's question, though. Ruby's question was on that video. The problem is the government is telling you you're a free person, but you're not. Because if you are a free person, you have every right to say, I don't want black people in my restaurant because I own it. And then to answer Teddy, he says, well, you're not king of the Native Americans. That's bullshit, because if you listen to the smartest black man in the last 100 years, Thomas Sowell, he's the one that tells you that the Native Americans were not united with the earth. They were killing each other like barbarians. And guess what? The Americans did it too. Since the beginning of mankind, humans have been conquering each other and fighting. So guess who owns the land? Whoever occupies it and whoever has the deed today. That's who owns it. So the question, that video that you mentioned, Ruby, is it's not whether or not we should be separated. Is who is free? And the government is telling you you're free, but they're giving you a whole bunch of rules that you have to do in your own property. And that is the big issue. And that goes back to what Jesse's saying, is that you can't legislate love. If a person wants to hate, let them hate. So we can all see it. And that's the issue. People do not understand the concept of freedom. It sounds great, but they become scared when you come to find out that, oh my God, if we're free people, that means we can all make alcohol, we can all sell marijuana, we can also, either we're free or we're not free.
Good point, because I was just about to dive into that.
Okay, what do you think about what Gigi just said?
I mean, freedom means to him, what does freedom mean to him? Freedom means apparently that you should be able to be prejudiced against certain people if you want to be.
And while I understand where he's coming from as far as like how freedom should be, we should be free to do, make marijuana or whatever. And, I do agree that the government, and there's so much regulation, I don't agree with the government being involved with so many things in our life. So I from that standpoint of the point he's trying to make, I understand
but that's two separate issues. Like he's melding it into one thing. It's not one.
Yeah.
Like one thing is being prejudiced, and the other one is about what you can and can't have or smoke or whatever produce.
Right. So the question is for him is, should the government be allowed to enforce that and keep people from not liking each other? And it's like, well, no, not necessarily, because you can't really enforce that. But at the same time, we know that being racist is wrong, and we know that it's not a good thing, and it's not showing love. So it's like, I see what he's saying as far as the government is concerned and playing a part. And yes, the government does want us to feel like we're free, yet we're not, because there's all these rules and restrictions. And a lot of things the government does also backfires and does do the opposite. But at the same time, it just sounds really bad what he's saying because he's saying you should be allowed to be prejudiced and racist if you want to. Okay,
Right.
well, I guess, and I just like you should be able to be allowed to say whatever you want and not be called hate speech and be censored on the internet. I agree with that as well, but it's just it feels icky. It just feels icky, is all I'm saying. Like him advocating for it, almost like, you know. And I don't know if he necessarily it meant to come off that way, but that's what it sounds like he's advocating. It looks really bad. That's all. That's how I feel.
It sounds bad.
For example, if you bought property and you bought the land and everything, and you only wanted your people to live there, you should have the freedom to do that. If you have a private business and you only
who are
wanted
your
to serve
people?
this group, you should be able to do that.
But not the government. Not the
Ruby, civil rights destroyed all that.
Exactly, which dives into the whole theory about the civil rights that I've mentioned before.
Beautiful, Joseph.
Oh, and Joseph, I do have a comment that was referred to you. Teddy was talking to me in the chat. He says, if you think cultural exclusion for ethnic groups would help America, think about the Jim Crow laws and if they were justified or not. And then he was asking you, Joseph, do you remember that time period and how it was?
Yes, I do. I remember in my hometown, there was a Black community where they had their own grocery stores, their own mechanics, their own doctors, their own butchers, and their own grocery stores, and so on. And it was a beautiful community. And they had their own churches, and we would drive by, you could hear them singing and all this and that. But when civil rights was passed, that community was destroyed.
Yep, you see.
It decimated that group of people to the point that now today, there's hardly any fathers for the children. The women are having children from different kinds of men in the community, and they're on welfare.
I disagree with you.
Okay, so I kind of brought that up in the beginning about how things have been decimated intentionally, it feels like removing the father. So I see what he's saying as far as civil rights. I think a lot of things the government does is fake. Like what I mean is they tell you they're doing it for our own good, but they're not really doing it for our own good. I think that's what he's kind of saying. Is that how you took it or no?
Well, I think that he's making some really broad statements about people. They are on welfare. They this, they that. And the other thing that I think is that I mean, I don't know what world or where he lives, but there are communities still today that are tighter communities, ethnic communities. Like there's Spanish stores where there's a lot of Spanish people around. So I don't know. I mean,
right, and like Chinatown and things like that.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, so we do already have these communities. It's not like we don't have these communities. But how much more do you want to separate them is what I'm saying. Like I don't understand because
right. And why do we have to be separated by our race or whatever? Like I don't understand. Like if people want to be separated, that's fine, but why would you want to enforce it or create a situation where we are forced to be segregated? It's just it's crazy. And it's like you get to miss out on like learning other things. Like if you separated yourself from only people who think like you, look like you, believe like you, how are you ever going to grow or, learn new things?
Exactly.
And what a boring place. I don't know.
Right. Sounds like the new system. Sounds like the new system.
Yeah, where only JWs are going to be there, right? Crazy.
Joseph, on the problem with the civil rights, because there comes a point in the course of human history where things need to be clarified. So this is what I'm trying to say. When Martin Luther King was giving that speech, the I Had a Dream speech, he talked about a check. And the founding fathers had issued a check that all men are created equal, endowed by their creators with certain unalienable rights. But the check had bounced. So when Martin Luther King was going after the civil rights, he was well within his constitutional rights to change the Constitution, in that the Constitution needed to remunerate. Like, hey, we need to remind everybody that this check is a good check. Now, and that we need that same thing in 2025 with Donald Trump. He needs to do the same thing. The check of the United States government to a lot of us is coming back and non-sufficient funds. So, but like anything, any good thing can be turned by globalists or whoever, or Democrats, into a nefarious product. But I
like how he said Democrats. He said globalists and
Yeah.
Democrats, like Republicans
Right.
aren't globalists.
Right, exactly.
That is so goofy to me. Like, Trump is a globalist. So the fact that you think he's going to do anything is hilarious to me. They're all working for the same people. It's just
I know they don't see that though. They just can't see that. Sad.
do believe Martin Luther King was onto something. And if you listen to that speech, America, the governments were bouncing the check of the Declaration of Independence. And did Martin Luther King have a problem with white-only restaurants? No, but he had a problem is you not issuing a permit so a black man can have a restaurant. You see, the playing field was not level. And
Right.
So he understood that we can't legislate love. We can't legislate racism. Unfortunately, like our friend Teddy, who's from England, he thinks everything can be legislated, but that's why he has a king by the name of Charles, and we have a president who's going to leave this America a better place than when he
Gilbert.
got in.
Okay, so you're saying Teddy's delusional because he's got a king, but we're not because we have a puppet president. Right?
Right.
Well, I can tell you Gigi's being deceived, and when he's telling people like Teddy, you're being deceived because you have a king over in where you live and we have a president that's a puppet, like you have like who are you to say that? Like you sound just as foolish then.
That's Gigi's interpretation of what Martin Luther King was saying.
Right. Good
It's not
point.
necessarily what he was actually saying.
Right. Because he's talking like he knew Martin Luther King personally. And no,
Exactly.
Martin Luther King was about, having the same rights for black people as white people. How do you know what exactly he was like wanting? I don't understand this. You didn't have a relationship with him. That's hilarious. I noticed that
Yeah, because
too. I'm glad you brought
he
that up.
he literally said that that Martin Luther King did not have a problem with whites being separate from blacks. I would disagree.
Did you ask him that yourself, Gigi?
Yeah, exactly.
So silly.
And they took Martin Luther King's guns away. They took away his guns. They took away his Second Amendment rights.
Well,
So
I
that's
gotta
the issue.
respectfully, I gotta respectfully disagree, though. I agree with Joseph. The whole civil rights, the whole movement is no good in my opinion. The Constitution already puts it there, but that's a whole nother story.
Hey, since we're on the conspiracy part,
Yep.
MLK was a CIA operative. There you go.
Exactly. So
Was
when
it-
we
That's
dive,
true. That's true.
exactly.
Okay, according to who? I'm not saying that he wasn't or he was. I'm saying that is something they put on the world stage for a
Yeah.
reason. Why are
Right.
they allowing people to know that or think that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I question. But Jimmy's so sure. Jimmy's so sure, just like
sure.
Gigi's so sure. They're so sure about
Mhm.
Trump. They're so sure about this stuff. They're so sure about he was an asset or whatever. It's like, okay, you were there working with him. I don't know.
Oh,
So that's
he
what
wasn't.
gives me the red flags about anything that came out of that man's mouth is
Yeah.
void for me. It's
Hey,
right.
Ruby, you're Puerto Rican. Well, what if somebody attacks you, Puerto Rican? You know how to take a punch, but what if they hit your kid? Will you turn into a mama bear?
But it's not about that though, because I'm American.
Mhm.
That's all that matters.
Yes, but if they use a slur against you or your kids,
It wouldn't affect me because I'm not Puerto Rican. I'm American. You
okay,
see what
no,
I'm
but
saying?
I'm not
Like,
saying that.
I want to take off those labels and I want to just say we're all American. That's it.
Thank you.
I know
Yes,
that.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is when they attack your children, it's worse than if they're attacking you, is my point.
Sure, but I'm gonna look at my kids and I'm gonna be like, do what you've been taught because you're American and you don't take that from nobody.
And that's what my dad told me too. He told me that,
Right.
and my dad taught me that. But I still was angry. I lost my cool.
It's sounding to
It's
me like
I don't.
Ruby wants to erase everybody's culture. Like, no, you're not allowed to say you're this or that. You're just American. That's it.
Yeah.
Really get angry at those things.
Oh, and she also says she wants to take away labels, but yet she loves to say she's a Christian nationalist.
Oh,
So,
that's
like,
true. Yeah.
So if you want to get rid of labels, that's a label too. You know, like make it make sense.
Because we're just American. And I'm not talking about banning groups of people from other groups of people's places. All I'm saying is that we should construct based on our groups, either if it's race or ethnicity or whatever, and we focus more on that and we lift each other up as a community of Hispanics, blacks, whites, etc. And if we want to go to each other's sides, by all means do that, right? We're American, but we should at least have the institution to bring our own selves up.
Right.
And the law doesn't say that it's illegal for you not to do so.
Correct.
That's all I'm saying is like bring that freedom back, like Gigi was saying. And a great example was when the LGBTQ community was trying to force a Christian bakery to bake a cake for them. You see what I'm saying? It's like, no,
Yes.
if they refuse because of whatever it may be, they should have the right to do that. You're not supposed to be forcing other people to do things or go places or serve or not serve if they don't want to. But that's all I'm saying.
Wait a second.
I'm half a
Because what was the ruling on that about the cake? I think, didn't they win that case?
I think so, but I can't remember. It was so insignificant and on the boop for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because also
I thought that they did. So
it goes
I mean,
both ways too. It goes both ways. So like her way of saying people should have rights to do whatever. Well, people should have rights to have an abortion then too, and people should have rights to be able to do this. Like she only says people have rights to say this and that and no when it's her views and her beliefs, right? She doesn't have that same energy all across the board.
Italian. Yeah. And this is a true story. My deceased husband, he was a Vietnam vet. His mother did not want him marrying me because I was called a guinea. Now, I don't care what race you are. There's persecution in all ethnic groups. The Armenians have been persecuted.
Yeah.
The Italians have been persecuted. The Irish brutally been persecuted. So
the Jews,
the Spanish, the blacks, the Jews, everybody's got a horror story. But the point for me is I'm a very loving and compassionate person. And I learned that I have to give a credit to the Jehovah's Witnesses. I learned to love a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life.
Yeah.
And my mother was like that. My mother taught me different than my dad was prejudiced, but I listened to what my mother said because she was right. But she taught me love somebody. It doesn't matter. And my grandmother would say the same thing. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. We all bleed the same. And it's all about getting along and loving one another.
No, love has no colors. It's it's
Gigi, amen.
And that's the end of that clip. But I do want to say, I don't know if I would give the JWs credit for that because
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it all depends on the JW. Some JWs were racist too. So it's like, it all depends on the person. Just like in every different religion or culture or whatever, some are racist, some aren't. So I feel like she's giving too much credit to the JWs for that.
I would say, Gail, give yourself more credit because ultimately she's the one who decided not to be prejudiced.
Exactly, because she said she had it from different sides, some that she was around that was and some wasn't. So it's like she chose the better choice. So yeah. So well, that's that clip. Let's see. The next one I have here. Let me see. Okay, yeah, this is my other favorite thing about Ruby is her double standards about women. So let's see.
No, I don't agree with women in politics. or having any government positions or any positions of leadership when it comes to the political world. For example, this congresswoman has a baby, right?
Right.
And she has a position in the government, right? And now she's here in Congress talking about how we should, I'll play the clip, but basically how we should modernize Congress because she had a baby and couldn't go for the vote. Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't play the clip. I took the clip out. Everyone can watch for themselves.
Yeah.
And I understand from that standpoint. I don't think I would have brought my baby to Congress either. That's something I wouldn't have done either. But I don't think that should prevent people from, or women from, having positions because they have a baby, you know?
Yeah, and
So-
obviously that was being done as like a performance and to get
Attention.
her points across, you know, about
Yeah,
children and women,
right.
whatever, being in politics. But yeah,
So she
I
was
didn't
being
find
more
it necessarily either.
Yeah, so she was just being more extreme about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't take it anymore either.
I can't
It-
say yeah.
It
Yeah,
is infuriating. Right. There you go. And
She's a
this is
stupid
what
woman.
falls
She's a
into the
stupid woman.
and
Wow.
I agree, which
I
is why
know.
if you should not be in these types of jobs or positions if you A, can't do the job, B, you know you can get pregnant and have a baby and you will not be able to fulfill your job. So you should resign.
Wait, so she's saying if you get pregnant and have a baby, you will not be able to do your job.
That's what she's saying.
That's just crazy. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a job as a woman and then having a baby and maybe taking a maternity leave or some kind of thing, vacation, take care of your baby, and then if you want to go back to work, you can go back to work. Like,
Exactly. Who said she can't do her job? That's her judgment on that woman.
right. And this brings us back to the last video we did where Ruby's telling everyone she's getting a job. So she's literally telling women they shouldn't be having jobs if they have babies, and she has children and she's going to go get a job. So which one is it,
Yeah.
Ruby? Is it okay
Yeah.
or isn't it okay? Or is it only okay for you to have a job as a woman? Right? Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
On your own
Yep.
free will and go take care of your baby. But you see, this is what, in my opinion, the whole feminism comes into play because they want to make women believe as if they can do both, as if you can have a career and raise your kid, and you cannot do both. You will end up
Wow.
Some women can do both.
Wow.
Some women are in situations also where the father is okay with staying at home. Like,
Yeah.
who is she to choose who stays home or not? This is ridiculous.
Right.
This is all the
Yeah.
brainwashing Watchtower did to her, and now her Christian
Yeah.
Nationalist has done to her. They literally
This
make
is-
her think that because she has female parts, she must do different things. It's crazy to me.
It's just so ignorant.
Yeah.
electing one or the other or even both because you start losing your own mental health when
You
you're
know,
dealing with postpartum and etc. Go ahead.
And I
Right.
exercise my
Yes.
right as a man, and I was ready to bump her in the head. Hell
Now,
no.
now imagine if women like that had no husbands or real fathers in their lives, and the women went ahead and did it anyways. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem.
If that woman
Yeah.
was my wife, we would have been divorced. I would have dropped the house. She never met a man like me. I mean, you just tell the woman, listen, no, goddamn it, the
That's a
baby
real
stays
man, in
home.
my opinion, though, because you actually care about your child and the health of the mother.
So a real man is someone that's like forcing you. You can't do a job. You get back in there and you stay home
Get
and
back
you do
to
what
the
I tell you.
kitchen.
Yeah,
Get back to the kitchen.
that's a real man to Ruby.
That's why mothers should be homemakers. You stay at home and you do your gender roles. I'm sorry if that sounds offensive, but in my opinion, that's what makes the home strong, the marriage strong, the mother and the father strong for the children.
And let me ask, who made those gender roles? Like who said, oh, women must take care of children and men have to go to work and vice versa? Like who told her that? This is more
Well,
of the indoctrination.
I'm just wondering, like, because she sounds like she's speaking from experience. Does she have like the perfect marriage or something going on? Because
Right.
know.
And if so, why are you going to work? Why is she going to work? If she's in the
Right.
perfect situation, why is she not staying home and she have to go get a job?
And
it's like,
why doesn't her man say, "Oh no, you're not going to work. Get back in
you
the
better
kitchen."
get back in the kitchen. You better go back there. Yeah, it's like, what is happening right now?
Can't. This is insanity.
It is.
That Congress should make accommodations, that we should modernize Congress so that Congress women can have a
Baby.
virtual vote if they can't come in person because of childcare or pregnancy, etc.
What's wrong with that?
I don't think women should be in politics at all. Like, if you know that you cannot fulfill the job and you're going to have children, or you are of childbearing age, why are you taking jobs that cannot make the accommodation for you?
Okay, if this is true and Ruby feels women should not be in politics, why does she have a political corner?
Right. Why does she have anything to say about politics at all?
No, if she follows
women
her own,
shouldn't.
Yeah, if she follows her own jaded, crazy thinking, she needs to shut up, get back in the kitchen. She can't speak. She can't speak on any of these issues. She's a woman. She doesn't understand. She doesn't have the intellect because she's a woman and she doesn't need to do it. So you go back then, Ruby. Go in the kitchen, do what you got to do. Why are you on a political corner? It doesn't make any sense.
So you want to bend the Constitution to you just because you're a woman, just because you had a baby? No, it doesn't work like that.
Ruby,
and that's my opinion.
Can I disagree with you on
How
one
is
point?
it bending the Constitution just to put some, to make it easier for women to vote? Is that bending the Constitution?
Yeah, they are thinking that you need to do it in person, that it bends the Constitution if you vote virtually. It's like, what does that matter? If you vote virtually at home and you're voting and the vote is a vote, what does it matter?
Right.
You have to be in the building? Did they do that during COVID? Were they in the building? No, I doubt it. So I'm saying it's possible for them to do it. I don't know how that's bending the Constitution, and who made that rule.
It's not bending the Constitution. That is twisted.
Mm-hmm.
Women can, and I'm giving the counter woman, and you're the pro point counterpoint. So I think if a woman could take a punch like Margaret Thatcher or Sarah Palin, more power to them. But like this woman, she already wants a special concession. She should be in Congress. But you know what? She has to take a punch. Stay home with a baby.
Right. If you don't have to, don't force it. Just stay at home with your kids and take care of your baby. That's it.
I have a question, Ruby.
Take your own advice, Ruby. Stay home with your kids. Don't go get a job. Yeah, stay home with your kids. Ruby. Just do. Yes. What is your problem?
So you said you don't think that like women should be in political power, like a president or like a vice president?
Right. Or a congresswoman, or a mayor, or a sheriff, or a firefighter. And women should not be in any job or profession that takes them away from the home and their children and their husbands.
From their prison.
Every woman wants a child. I don't want a child.
From their husbands.
Then don't have one.
No, so nobody's allowed to leave the home. You're there with your husband and your children. What are you thinking? Don't leave the home. That she's literally creating a prison for women, and at the same time voicing on Joe and Fran's show about how she was like didn't have a life growing up. Yeah, and she describes being in prison with her mom, and then she's saying the same thing. Ruby, you're like your mom.
Exactly.
Scary.
It is scary.
So maybe politically, a woman shouldn't have like a child if they're going to be in political power. I don't know.
But I wouldn't encourage it. You see what I'm saying? I would not encourage it.
Yeah, that's Ruby's stance on it. Which is a little more extreme than others.
Right. So I was kind of using that to further my personal point of how I always talk about that I'm against women to be in those positions, because I believe more in traditional values, nuclear family, that the gender roles exist and that we should perform accordingly. The man should be the protector and the provider and a good father and a good husband, right? The women should bear children, take care of the home, be a stay-at-home mother, homeschool your children if you can, and, do that role.
Has she watched The Handmaid's Tale? She's literally
Ex-
describing the Handmaid's Tale. And
It
if
is.
she feels that way, why doesn't she move to places like Pakistan or Dubai or someplace where there's like literally all these restrictions on women? Why don't you start wearing a head wrap too while you're at it and cover your completely up top to bottom, because your only goal and mission in life is to be there for your husband, stay home, and that's it. Be with the kids.
Take care of your children. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a prison.
As a woman.
So I do believe that women can do better roles sometimes than men, but they have to be willing to take a punch in the political arena. And maybe I shouldn't say punch, because that sounds kind of bad. Maybe I should say an argument, a debate.
Right.
Okay,
right.
and they can,
stand their
right?
ground.
Right. Exactly.
Who says that they can't? Well, who are you talking about specifically?
Well, mainly this lady that brought her baby in. That's what they're saying. These type of people that want special, like, treatment. They're not okay enough to do
For
it.
voting, it doesn't mean she can't debate. What are you talking about? You know?
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
right,
better.
right. And there are exceptional women that can do that. I mean,
punch is
look
a bad word.
at monarchies. You had a king and you had a queen, and the queen, in her own right, she was a queen. So I'm not like against it in that sense. I think that
I have a question too, Ruby.
Oh, go ahead.
You're done.
No, that
But,
was just the point.
Okay, that'll take us into another video. But when she brings up the queens, she also probably doesn't realize in a lot of situation, in our history and the history of queens and kings, queens were only queens by title. A lot of times they didn't have a lot of power because they were still treated like less than.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's still so there's a little clip from when Mindful
They were
Warrior,
also in basically arranged marriages where they were forced to go be married with another ruler.
So even then they didn't have rights then either. This is so crazy. So there's one other clip that I want to add to this. It's a 2-minute clip where Mindful Warrior was on her episode or on her show. That was actually the same night that we confronted her live. And she talks about how she feels about women voting. So we'll just share that real quick and then we'll go on to the next clip.
Okay.
And I would like to make a few points, and some people in the comments are kind of on the fence about this, and I know that it is going to rattle some feathers, and that's the whole point of this show, is to be
That's what we do.
Exactly. Is to be bringing other people's perspectives, especially XJWs who are one of us, that we're not all the same in our journey coming out of the cult. And you see a man like Carlos making content for all men, not just XJW men, but it's also he regained his masculinity. And like people said in the comments, how Watchtower literally emasculated men. And I think
I love how she's so like for the man and saying, Watchtower emasculated. What about women? Watchtower made women feel like they were nothing. They had nothing and they could be nothing. And she still has that mentality. How is she so like, oh, poor men? Like, are you serious right now? It's
She's not a girl's girl at all. Like she doesn't stand up for women's rights, but she'll stand up for a man's rights.
Does she not know she's a woman? Is she confused? Oh my gosh.
That the world does the exact same thing that the organization does, and politically as well. It's like you see this in many different communities. And that's why I like Carlos and his content, even though I know it's not directed to me because I'm a woman. I wouldn't understand this, right? Because I'm not a man.
Because I wouldn't understand it.
I wouldn't understand it. Like, she's just putting herself down. Ruby, you're a smart girl. You're not dumb.
You're literally saying you're too stupid to understand it because you're a woman. That is so sad. Oh my goodness.
It is.
Man. But I know that if I would allow Carlos to come on here and speak to you guys, you might find something within his content or something that he says that can help you in your journey of regaining your masculinity.
Because she wants to help men.
I know that Carlos comes, he comes from that strong angle. But you know what? You guys have seen me say something so like controversial when I said that women shouldn't be in politics, and Olia had a titty attack because I said that no women should be voting or in politics at all. And and I have a
Well, yeah, because you literally have a political show and you sound like a crazy person, hypocrite. Like, of course, people are gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" You know, like it's like, does
Oh
she even
yeah.
hear herself speak? Has anyone in the community seen Ruby defend women like she defends men? Anyone? I haven't. That tells you a lot.
Bueller. No, there's nobody out there that has heard that. No.
lot of traditional values, like how Carlos was saying about the man, leadership, protection, all of those things is a gender roles. But those lines have been blurred for the past 5 to 10 years. That now, when somebody like Carlos says what he says, oh, now he hates women. It's like, okay, stop. Okay, this is thousands of years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is in our DNA for a man to be a man, for a woman to be a woman. And then when they started asking, well, what is a woman? Well, what is a man? You see what I'm saying? So this is not far off than what we think it is. Carlos is not saying anything that doesn't already exist, that hasn't already been written on books or documentaries. Go ahead, Jimmy.
But that doesn't make it right. Go ahead, Jimmy. That does not make it right. Just because you've read it in a book or that it's been going on forever doesn't make it right. People have been abusing women for centuries upon centuries. Doesn't make it right. Where's her thinking? Like, for me, it's like I treat a relationship, a husband and wife, as a partnership. Okay. One is not greater than the other. I agree with her when she says gender roles have been blurred in society. Yes, they have.
Yeah.
They're trying to make men weaker, and women believe, that they can do all these crazy things. I do agree that things are being blurred. But at the same time, we are living in modern times. We do have access to more like technology and things like that. It helps us in our everyday lives. Okay. Things have changed. And I don't think that a woman is set to, this is just her role and this is his role as a man. Like, this is just too extreme. It's
like we all know the women are the ones who can have the baby. Well, some of us know that. Most of us know that.
We know what a woman is.
Sometimes there are some people who think that men can have babies, but that's very confused.
Yes. We know that a woman is a female and a man is a male. And the fact that people are acting confused about that is absolutely crazy. Okay, so from that standpoint, we understand what Ruby's saying. We understand that things have gotten cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but that does not give you the right to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the other direction.
Exactly.
We need to have a balance, Ruby. The way you are talking, you would lead all women down the handmaid's tale. And I don't think you really want that. So you need to really think about what you're promoting, because it's not good,
And I would add that other people need to think about who they are promoting on their platforms.
Correct. I agree. Because if you're
associated with them,
yes, that means that if you're promoting it, then that means you agree with it. It's just like when Watchtower would promote certain people within the organization and they'd make them elders or COs or whatever, and they were predators.
Exactly.
So that to me tells me Watchtower is okay with it. So if you're seeing this stuff in the XJW community and certain people are being promoted that are not good, then what does that say about the people that are promoting them?
Right. And what does it say about the people who are following
and supporting
this stuff and supporting that kind of content? If you know
something is not good, why are you supporting this? And here's the last video that is from the previous videos, and this is Fallen Ashes is going to ask her a question, and this is interesting.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, okay, so you believe in gender role, what about homosexuality? Because I'm gay, so gender role, being gay, that doesn't really involve gender role, or it doesn't apply in my situation, because if my partner and I, if she held the door for me, because that's supposed to be what a man does, a man holds the door for you, or a man, I mean, in that sense, it's kind of like gender roles don't exist because we're both women and we, she's my partner. So what do you think about that?
Politically or personally?
Great.
Both. We could do both.
Both?
We could
Okay.
like start with political or personal. It doesn't matter.
So politically, I don't think the government should be involved in making laws for it or against it. That
Correct.
is a civil issue. It's between people, societies, culture, etc. The government.
Okay, I want to say something here.
Mhm.
I do partly agree with her about I do take this stance, less government. I'm always less government.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
more about that. But then I want to say to her, if that you do believe that and you truly believe what you're saying, then government should also not be a part in like heterosexual marriage either. Right? Because I've thought about this before too. It's like when you get married and you go and you buy that marriage license, you are inviting the government into your marriage.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So
yeah.
so now they have part control of that as well. And so like if you're saying the government should not be part of legalizing or illegalizing gay marriage, you should have that same energy for heterosexual marriage too. That's just it should be the same all across the board. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Government should not be involved in any of that, legalizing it or making it illegal. Personally, I would say that I am Christian. I converted to Christianity.
Oh, we know.
So I would be against that. Like fundamentally, I would be against it. But I am not going to impose my beliefs and my preferences on other people. So there does have to be a certain line where people just respect other people's lifestyles. But personally speaking, I would not advocate, I wouldn't encourage it, and I wouldn't promote it, and I would not be an ally towards any of their movements or any.
Okay, that's crazy. Even saying she's not going to be an ally, but then again, we know she can't be friends with people, right?
Right.
But she's pretty much now saying she's totally against it. She's not opposed to like you living your life, and she says that here. But keep that in mind because as we go further in the video,
that's what I was gonna.
She does a 180. Okay, so here she's
Yeah.
saying, I don't care what you do in your life, and I don't want to impose laws and rules or whatever. But she changes.
She's about to pull an Uno reverse card.
of their stances when it comes to culture and society or politically, because we see a lot of those movements, they carried over to politics and they try to make laws or like trans rights or LGBTQ rights, or they start grouping themselves into different movements and they want to change laws or do like these rights movements. Like we talked about the civil rights, we talked about all that kind of stuff. I would be against that as well.
So like
so no rights as a gay person. That was a summary. All you got, that's one sentence. Ruby, all she said right now was no rights for gays. That's how I took it.
And she's talking about those people what is the word for that? Like, not protesting necessarily, but fighting for their rights or whatever, that she doesn't agree with that, but she wants to fight for something opposite of that, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's one-sided. She always is okay with her beliefs and fighting for her beliefs, but anyone else's that she doesn't agree with, no go.
Not okay.
It's not okay. No.
Not okay.
You're saying that like not legalizing or illegalizing
right
somebody's sexuality should not be involved. Like at the end of the day, you don't give a shit about what another person does in their house when it comes down to somebody that they love, as long as it's they're an adult.
Exactly.
You personally, you're a straight woman and you believe that that's what you basically are. You're a straight woman.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, see, I was raised in a religion that strictly, Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't accept homosexuals. It's a Christian religion too.
That's an abomination.
They're gay. Have you seen how they dress? The whole religion is gay.
Yeah. I guess my thoughts is that I also agree. I really liked how Joseph said too that at the end of the day, they're just not hurting anybody else. I mean, being straight isn't wrong. Being straight or gay isn't wrong or right. It's just not. It just is. It just exists.
I agree with her. Like I do believe there's deeper things going on that you and I have talked about. There are certain agendas going on
Agendas, yeah.
socially that are trying to confuse people and young people. I also believe there's something going on with our food and air and water that creates endocrine problems and hormonal issues. As Alex Jones said, they're making the frogs gay. Okay, so I do think there's something going on with that we should be concerned with, just like the autism epidemic and cancer epidemic. There's something going on that's creating a situation that's affecting humans very drastically. But at the same time, this has been going on for years and years. You know, there's always been gay people, and even there's always been trans people, and sometimes you are just born a certain way, and there's nothing wrong or right about it. You can't help the way you are or the way you feel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think there are obviously a lot of reasons why people are it's gay or you know, and the amount of people that are trans are like really that are truly trans.
Yeah,
is so minuscule.
And then go through the actual transition and are trans. You're right, because what we have right now in a society, we have a lot of people that are just putting on a woman's dress and saying I'm trans, and as we know that's not what trans is. I'm sorry,
right?
It's not.
Exactly.
So, which is offensive to actual real trans people, like that have gone through all the process and are not out here like bragging about this and that, because that's not how it works. It's like when you're trans, you feel very uncomfortable about certain body parts. You're not going to go out there like Dylan Mulvaney and be like, whoa, it's 30 days of womanhood. That's not how you're going to act.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So it's very absurd.
So true.
So I do agree. There are things going on there. So I understand that small part of what Ruby is saying, but I agree with Fallen Ashes when she said what she just said. Like, you can't fault people, and it's no wrong or right, you know?
Right.
It's just love in the air.
Yes,
and it's just a preference. It's just a preference.
Just like Jesse, you know, is experiencing that in his life.
And I appreciate what Juan said too. I just, not just Joseph either, but also Juan. I also like what Juan said as well.
Well, good.
Yeah, those are my words.
Yeah, okay. I do believe in like those decency laws and stuff like that. I in my worldview, I would not want the rest of society to see something like that when it is not like generally accepted in terms of like, for example, I don't want my kids seeing something like that. So I wouldn't want that in the public. I don't care if you're doing it at home, because that's people's personal business. But in the public square, you know, where you take your children to parks or supermarkets or whatever, that's the only slight disagreement that I would have.
She's talking about PDA.
Like, no, like, what are we talking about here? Like, we're not talking about people having sex out in public or something, right? I mean, for her to go to that extreme, like, I don't want my kids to see that. To see what?
Yeah, that's
people
why I've
holding hands, or
that's why I've said previously, I think in the last video, that she needs to go to, if she wants that, she needs to go to Dubai or Pakistan and places like that where it's not allowed. I mean, I think over there it's not even allowed for heterosexual people to do PDA either. Even just a peck on the cheek, it's not allowed. So if she wants to be that extreme, she's in the wrong country, you know? That's not what we are here in America.
But that's just personal. Like, that's personally, I would be like, no, I don't want that to be seen in front of children in society. Go ahead, Jimmy.
So,
sorry, I didn't
like what, kissing or like holding hands?
Any of it. Like, it should not be identifiable, because children in society are not going to know what that is unless it's taught, right? Which I'm also in disagreement with. I don't want schools teaching that. I don't want society teaching that.
That's when it goes into the political side of things.
Right.
Well, okay, that's a whole nother level. I'm not talking about teaching it. I'm talking about, because when I was a kid, I remember seeing a few girls hold hands, and they weren't even gay. They were straight, but it looked like it was gay.
Right. So I would be against the explicitness
when I was
of
a
it.
kid coming home.
Well, okay, so how would you enforce that then, Ruby? She's saying she'd be so against it Okay, we get it. How about you do this? Take your kids. You see something, take them home or take them somewhere else. Like, why does society have to bend for you? Just like we don't want certain people on the other side to bend. We don't necessarily want to bend for them either. Why does everyone have to bend for you? Like,
Right, exactly.
if Fallen Ashes wants to be out with her wife or girlfriend and they're holding hands, who cares? Who is Ruby or someone like Ruby to come in and say, no, I don't want that around my children. You got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Why? Like, why are you doing that? You're making such a big deal of it. And also, I'd have to ask Fallen Ashes, going forward, why would you want to continue to be or support a person who has that mentality? She doesn't support gay people whatsoever. Right. It's mind-boggling. Okay, let's see what Joseph says. I think that he says an example of something when he was a kid, maybe.
From Catholics to some of us guys, we weren't gay, but we would hold hands as we were walking down the street.
Now, I did see a few girls kiss when I was a kid, and my parents were like, look away. But I kept on looking because I was like, I like this. I was like,
Right.
I was like
that's
13.
That's exactly what I would be against. It's like
even before I saw that, Jimmy. I was already thinking about those things when I was 7.
It's like, thank you, Fallen, for giving an example. That is exactly what Ruby would be against.
Yeah,
that right there.
And that did not make her gay. That like just seeing that was not what
made her that way. No,
I don't know.
Because I saw that stuff as a kid too. I've seen girls kiss many times. It doesn't make you gay just because you see it. Right. You either are gay because you're gay. It's not going to make your children gay.
No.
But you're very young, Fallen. Are you very young?
Right now?
Yeah, I'm 56. I'm from a different era.
Right.
You're probably 36, 34?
I'm 29.
Oh, I'm so sorry. 29.
So,
you're very young. Jimmy's like in the background going, oh, you just did it. You just accused her of being older. You put your foot in your mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, Jesse, when it comes to age, first of all, you should never ask a woman her age or her weight. Duh. And if you do ask, don't guess. Like, guess a young, like in her 20s.
Just
oh my goodness! Like, were you just born yesterday? You said you're in your 50s. Are you sure?
You're very young. Right. In our generation, it was not tolerated at all.
I also used to live in the Philippines, so I also saw a lot of gay stuff there. It's more acceptable there than it is here in America. It's natural, it is a natural thing. Like, I knew I was gay ever since. I just was born in a religion that forced me to not look at those things or do those things, and it suppressed my feelings, which hurt me at the long run. I wish that my family listened to me so that I could express myself more. I felt like I had to hide my friendships in school, and because I would live a double life, and maybe if they had been more accepting, I would express things that maybe would have saved me from other things that, as a parent, they could have helped me out with. But, talking about every desire is going to be fulfilled. Well, this is my desire. I thought that I was going to live in paradise with my wife,
I just want to say for the record, you have awesome hair.
Yeah. Yes, I told her that before too. I said I'm gonna get a wig just like that.
I love her hair.
Jimmy wants to change the subject.
Yep, I love it.
It's so pretty. I thought you were Mexican.
I know, right? I'm Filipino, but they're close to Mexicans.
Well, we can all be good.
Okay, so that's the end of the video. I wanted to say that, my heart goes out to Fallen Ashes, hearing her story and knowing how that made her feel, like suppressing her feelings. Well, the thing is, girlfriend, Ruby wants you to continue to suppress those feelings. If it were up to her, you would have to live a double life. If we lived in Ruby's society and the laws were in Ruby's favor, you would not be allowed to hold hands with your wife or kiss her in public or live your life. That is the reality.
And the
of
point is that, you don't have to agree with the whole gay thing or whatever. You don't have to agree with anything really, but the fact that she wants to make a law, she's advocating for, oh, we need to change laws. She said she's an abolitionist. She wants to ban these things for other people.
yeah.
So that's extreme.
Right. That's like the issue from when she's talking about abortion and she says she wants to abolish that as well. After she just gets on and tells everyone that she did the Plan B pill. So it's like it's okay for her to do
Yeah.
it, but it's not okay for anyone else to do it. It's like,
Right.
what?
Yeah.
Constant back and forth of double standards. It's like, I don't know. It's like anyone that's watched this video, and if you still feel you need to support Ruby or that you want to support Ruby, that says a lot about who you are as a person. Like,
Yeah.
because Ruby is all the things. She just told you who she is. You
Right.
know?
We've just seen 3 separate things and her extreme beliefs on all 3 of those things.
Yeah. And if it were up
So,
to her, we would literally live in a handmaid's tale and we'd all be
yeah.
segregated by race. Okay.
Mhm.
And I don't know, like I said from the beginning, like if I had known this about her originally, I would
Yeah.
not have wanted to be her friend. I'm
Right.
sorry.
And
You know?
also, like you said before, like the people, or maybe I said it, I don't even remember, but the people, not just Ruby, but then you have to look at the people who are platforming this. Like, are you pretending that you haven't seen these videos
Right.
of her
Because
saying these things?
a lot of
Or
these
maybe you
people are,
haven't, but now you have.
yeah, there's no excuse. So share
Right.
this with everyone so they can know. Because a lot of times Ruby does these 4-hour, they laugh about how long they are, but that also
Yeah.
makes it so no one wants to watch. A lot of people don't want to tune into 4 hours of a show. So
Yeah.
we kind of took the legwork out and found all the important clips. We put it together nice and easy for everybody. And now you can make your decision on what you want to do. I've chosen, I am not ever going to be friends with this person. And I am happy with my choice. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Same.
I agree with you. It's like if people, we all know who's working with them still. Joe and Fran is working with her.
Right.
Shauna and Vern are still working with her. I mean, you already knew they took a step back. You can see they took a step back for the political stuff with her. So it's like, if you're not watching this and you're not aware of who you're working with,
Mm.
I don't know. That might bite you in the butt later. We'll see about
That's
it.
right.
Well, I guess that's another wrap.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll wrap that up today.
Thanks.
And it was fun.
Yeah. We have more to come.
Until next time.
See you later.